And you want to know? You want to know the truth? Do you want to know the truth? You look back. Look back at the history. Look back at the wars. Look back at the battlefields. You will not find patriots facing death with certainty and with courage because they wanted another car in their garage or a fatter paycheck. They faced those sacrifices for the sake of that dream of human dignity. For the sake of that dream of real and effective freedom, represented not by the claim that you do what you please, but by the pride that you have the capacity to do as you ought. Not because they order you, but because you choose to do what is right out of your heart and love of that which is righteous. That's the dignity that this country offers. It offers it to each and every one who is willing to meet the challenge of that freedom. But you know what this means? What this means, of course, is that those principles, those things that constitute our common identity as a people, they're not just about our material prosperity. They're about our moral identity. They're about our common allegiance to those great principles of moral right and truth that allow each of us to stand up and claim that not the government, not the tax man, not the bureaucrat, but we ought to be in control of our resources and in control of our destiny, because that is our God-given, unalienable destiny. That's the truth on which we stand. You know, I love the title of this organization, United We Stand. But you do have to wonder sometimes, on what do we stand united? You know what we stand united on? You look over the great American people, you'll see many different races and colors and kinds and creeds. We have gathered them from all over the globe. We have gathered people of every description, of every nationality. They have come here to make this nation work. They have been brought here either in chains or in hope, but always in the end under the star of the same destiny. We have come to America. How do you take such diversity and make it one? Well, you make it one on the basis of our common allegiance to those principles of justice watered with the blood of our patriots and sons and daughters, watered with the struggle and the sacrifice and the pride of all this great people over the decades of our existence. That's our moral truth. But you know what that means, don't you? That means that allegiance to those moral principles, it is on that ground that we stand united. Not just in the cause of limited government, not just against increased taxes, not just against government waste. We are not a people who define ourselves in terms of what we are against. We define ourselves in terms of those values, those principles, those dreams and realities of human dignity that we have stood for and struggled for and fought for and died for in the history of this land. And that is why, and I'll tell you clear, and here we reach the point that some may not wish to hear. I'll tell you clear. I have fought for all these fiscal issues, and we must fight together to see them through. But there is not a single fiscal problem, not a single thing on which we are wasting our dollars in this country today that will be resolved if we let our character be destroyed. We will never balance the budget. We will never conquer the problem of the deficit if we do not balance our hearts, if we do not conquer the moral deficit that is destroying our families, corrupting our children, and destroying their lives. And we must face that truth, and we must face it now. And we must face it. And we must face it, my friends. And we've got to face it with the courage that says there's not an issue. And there's certainly not an issue that refers to those great principles I was talking about that we're going to run away from. And that's why before every audience in this land that I speak to, I'll look you in the eye and tell you, if you think you're going to solve your money problems by going to the Congress and getting all kinds of amendments through and leaving this country standing on the corrupt grounds of the licentious concept of freedom epitomized by the abortion doctrine, you are wrong. That principle will have to be rectified. or this nation will not solve its fiscal problems or any of its problems. And with that thought in mind, we have to think through exactly what's involved there. You know, that great doctrine said all men are created equal, and it made a reference to God. Now, a lot of people are embarrassed by that, I know. They think that you should forbid American politicians to talk about God from political platforms, but you know that would mean that we're forbidden to quote the Declaration. Does somebody think we should be forbidden to quote the Declaration? See, I got to quote the Declaration. I've also got to think through what it means. And what it means is that in drawing the line between human and non-human, and in respecting the rights of those human beings, that's not our judgment. That's not the judgment of any man. It's not the judgment of any Congress. And it's not the judgment of any woman whatsoever. My mother did not determine that I am a human being. Our Declaration says that God Almighty made that determination long before she got here. And I will tell you straight in front, we may wish to back away from the little bits and pieces, a little buffet-style smorgasbord. Take what you like of American principles and leave the rest. But it doesn't work. And I, for one, remember that the last time the American people gave to human powers the right to draw the line and to put the non-humans on one side and kill and repress and oppress them, my people were on the wrong side of that line. I will not let it happen again. Not to my people and not to the great unborn. So I say this. United we stand, in fact, but united we stand on the great principles of that Declaration. United we stand on the great truth that our freedom comes from God. United we stand in respect of that authority which requires that we use our freedom responsibly. United we stand as a people that acknowledges that freedom is our birthright, but that the responsibility to protect it, to enhance it, and to pass it on intact to future generations is our discipline, is our mission, is our challenge as a nation. Let us make that the top priority of this nation's life in the generation to come, that we shall not lose to government the power to control our resources, that we shall not lose to corruption the power to discipline our lives. And with those two agendas, fiscal and moral, marching hand in hand, we will restore America to what it's supposed to be, the shining beacon for all mankind of our capacity to live under a charter of law in respect of the will of God, examples of what freedom can accomplish when mankind respects its origin. That is the great mission of its nation. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. Don't fail to hold that banner aloft, and we shall move into the 21st century knowing that freedom will prevail. Thank you very much.